After 13 years of his assumed death, Crisostomo Ibarra, in no limitang Jerez, returning to the Philippines, disguised as a jeweler named Simeon. The story all began with the steamer ship sailing in Pasig River from Manila to Laguna de Bay. Simeon were among the passengers along with some important characters of the novel Isagani and Basilio and other supporting characters. Basilio, the son of Sisa, and a promising medical student arrives in San Diego. He runs into Simeon, who is visiting his mother's tomb inside the Ibarra burial grounds. Then, he discovered Simeon was Crisostomo Ibarra. In his attempt to hide his identity, Simeon tried to assassinate Basilio. When that failed, he encouraged the young man to join him in his quest for vengeance against the Spanish government. However, Basilio rejected, stating that he needed to finish his studies. After a few months, a play Variedades by a French opera will be held. High-ranking officials are expected to attend, and it was the first attempt of Simeon to start the revolution. Simeon once again asked Basilio to be part of his vengeance and attack the convent where Maria Clara was being held captive. Basilio declined once more, and the whole plan for revolution was cancelled when Simeon heard of the news that Maria Clara died in the afternoon. Days later, the students requested the Captain General to build a Spanish language academy, but this request was denied because the friars would be in charge. The students had a banquet at the Pansiteria to forget their failure. The talk at the table were tense and became heated, with open criticism of the friars. When the friars learned what the students had stated, they set up a trap. They posted posters depicting students as rebels and blamed them. Basilio was taken away after several of them were detained. Julie, Basilio's lover, was upset. Other students were released by relatives, but Basilio remained in prison. Julie made her way to Father Camora and pleaded with him to help release Basilio from being detained, but he did nothing. Julie fell into the convent's window, causing the girl's death. Juanito's father, Timoteo Pelaez, partnered with Simeon on his business. Juanito, on the other hand, consented to marry Paulita Gomez and that the Captain General will be the godfather of their upcoming wedding. Through this event, they were able to invite high-ranking government officials and other rich individuals to the feast. On the other hand, Basilio was released with the help of Simeon after spending 2 months in prison, despite the fact that he was not guilty. He understood that if he assisted him in breaking free, he would be part of his plans, and he did not let him down. Basilio rushed straight to Simeon after being released from prison to join his rebellion. Simeon quickly informed Basilio of his plans. He would use the Pelaez Gomez wedding to start the revolution. He would give the newlyweds a beautiful-looking lamp filled with a highly explosive chemical. The lamp's light will last for 20 minutes before fading, and if someone tries to relight the lamp, the capsule within the mercury fulminate would explode at the same time the grenade that laced the corners of the house, destroying both the lamp and the house. It is stated that no one inside the gathering will be saved if the lamp bursts. The explosion would act as a signal to other rebels to start a general rebellion in Manila, thus making the start of the Philippine Revolution. On the day of the gathering, Basilio was outside the house where the celebration was being held. He felt agitated and worried. Simeon, on the other hand, dashed down the stairs and out the door because the lamp was already lit and will soon explode. Isagani arrives, the ex-lover of Paulita Gomez, the bride. Basilio told him to go, but he ignored him and was uninterested in hearing what he had to say. Basilio then told Simeon's plan to Isagani. The Captain General became worried as the light of Simeon's gifted lamp diminished. So he asked Father Irene to relight the lamp. What Basilio said came to Isagani's mind. So he hurriedly took the lamp and proceeded to the azotea and threw the lamp into the water, causing it to explode. This ruins the entire scheme and Simeon is exposed as a traitor, eventually ending up being chased by the Guardia Civil with guns again. Wounded and weak, Simeon took refuge at Father Florentino's home. He sailed across the Pacific Ocean from the harbor. He told the priest that his wounds were the product of his carelessness. The lieutenant of the Guardia Civil learned Simeon's whereabouts and sent a letter to Father Florentino, informing him that they will come in the evening to arrest Simeon. When the priest went to Simeon's chamber to discuss, he discovered that he had consumed poison. Father Florentino prayed for Simeon and allowed the dying Simeon to confess because he knew he wouldn't live long. Simeon reveals his real identity, that he is Crisostomo Ibarra. His plot of revenge, the story of how the once dominant Ibarra family lost their fortune, credibility, and connections. He told him everything. And when it is all said and done, Simeon took his last breath and dies, this time for real. Father Florentino threw Simeon's jewelry into the sea, hoping that one day, whoever finds it will use it for a good purpose. And that is the end of Il Filibusterismo. Il Filibusterismo is far darker and more brutal. Jose Rizal showed in the final event that violence is never the answer to anything. It is just a way to create and replace the old problem with a new one.
Several identities have risen to the surface as people showed their affection and concern for the hometown. Their patriotism drove them to battle against the oppressed Spaniards who dominated our country. Their efforts and works will not be lost or forgotten, since they are documented and continue to be praised and lauded in books and historical textbooks. Dr. Jose P. Rizal, the town's national hero, is the most prominent of all the names that have emerged and given glory to our town. Your name is a sign of peace and liberalism. Your self-published and self-created novels will not be compensated in any way. The novels that have been published are currently being taught to the youth of the Philippines, which has been a source of patriotic consolation. This became a vehicle for societal realizations that pointed us in the proper direction in terms of how we should live and lead our country, the Philippines. We, the Filipinos, were made aware of the vast Spanish wrongdoings, and we are grateful that there are people like you who fought for the sake of our country, the Philippines. As you accepted the risk of fighting the Spaniards, your act of valor will be remembered and revered throughout perpetuity. Your act of patriotism will be remembered forever, and it will serve as a foundation for combating those who look down and demean us. Dr. Jose P. Rizal, you will be honored and remembered in every instant of our lives. Thank you, and and you'll always have a place in our hearts.
This activity would not be possible without the people who have contributed to its success. First and foremost, Mr. Felipe Busa Jr., our instructor, for his direction and supervision in completing this job to a high standard. To our beloved school, Sorsogon State University, for providing this type of subject and allowing us to participate in this type of activity that taught us about Philippine history. To the minds behind this project, the Filibusterismo Group, for the collective work of each of the members to successfully complete this project. And to our Almighty God, we thank you for your wisdom and direction